So I am so excited to be back. It's been a little bit since I've been here. I know that some people may not remember me or know me. Maybe you're new to the show. My name is Jenny Mayberry, and I was around a while back, one of the baseball moms, and I'm excited. Now I have another baseball mom that is going to join me and come and share stories about being a baseball mom as well. So
thank you, Jenny. I really enjoy working with you and talking to you so far. You seem to have a lot of ideas on what it's like to be a baseball mom. And I know having 3 boys keeps you busy, I'm sure. I'm Tiffany. I have a sophomore, Cooper DeManuele, at Francis Howell Central, and I have a daughter, Scout, that's in 8th grade. And I was kind of thinking when I was asked to do this with Jenny, I was kind of thinking of what prepared me to be a baseball mom, because it really takes over your life in ways that you never would have imagined. Growing up, my parents were born in Boston. I was born in Boston. We moved out here when I was 2, and my dad had 3 girls. And my dad was a college baseball player, and that was his life growing up. And when we moved to Missouri, our life consisted of just watching Red Sox baseball on the TV all the time. Now, Jenny, we only had 1 TV at our house. So growing up, we would all get frustrated. Like, our vacations were around the Red Sox schedule. Our anything we did, if they made the playoffs, forget it. In September and October, we're stuck at home watching the Red Sox. So I kind of entertained my dad a little bit and just would sit with him and watch. And all my dad did growing up, and by the way, I did not like baseball. I did not. I was a basketball player. I played basketball in college, that my sisters did too. We kind of did not want to play baseball or softball, but I would spend a lot of time with my dad. And he would always just kind of critique all the Red Sox swings. Like, every player, he would tell me like what they're doing right and what fundamentals they were doing, the techniques. And I kept thinking, I'm just entertaining him. This is so boring. Baseball, really, if you're not involved, if you're not invested, I don't know. To me, it was just a very slow paced, boring game. As we got older, the great way to start the show. Baseball's boring. But as I got older, I ended up liking it a little bit more, and then I met my husband, and he was a high school baseball coach and a college baseball player. So I met him, and him and my dad really got along. And a few years later, we have Coop, and as soon as Coop, we knew we were having a boy. My husband Drew, and my dad kept asking the doctors, nurses, anybody, is he left-handed? They were trying to see in my stomach, crazy. But when Coop was born, he really took to baseball. I'm not saying right away, but as soon as he was 2, he was just dragging a ball around. And then I resigned from my job so I could stay home with my kids. And I had his sister within 2 years of having him. So I had to do a lot of multitasking, throwing in the ball. My husband worked 2 jobs because he was a teacher at the time, and I was staying home. So I spent a lot of time pitching to Cooper in the front yard, and he would have his sister play catcher or go out in the outfield. He's 3 years old, and we were just out there having a little fun. So as I was pitching to him, my dad would come over too when he was retired, but my husband Drew didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. So I kind of took on remembered all these things my dad taught me about swinging, and they were putting forks and crayons in his left hand, and I was just like, that's ridiculous. He's not left-handed, but he did swing the bat left-handed. But one time I was in the front yard, and my dad and my husband pull up in the car, and I had Cooper batting right-handed. I was like, I swear he's righty. You're making him be left-handed. But I got in big trouble for that. But as he grew older, he was a natural left-handed hitter, and I started teaching him these things that my dad taught me. And there were 2 times. My dad passed in 2018, unfortunately. My dad was a really big supporter of Cooper's baseball. But after that, I kind of felt the need to stay on and be called, I just jokingly called myself his hitting coach. There were 2 times when he was about 11 and 12 years old. He got in really, really real bad slumps throughout his 11 year and his 12 year. And he didn't want to take my advice. I knew what was wrong. My husband kept telling him something, and I'm like, no, that's not right. Both times I told him, and Cooper was desperate enough to finally okay, my next at bat, I'm going to do what you say. I'm like, do it. And both times, I kid you not, he hit home runs. And and both times when he was 11 and then 12, the same thing, 12, he's so desperate enough. Fine, Mom, I'm desperate enough. I'll take your advice. I'll do it. Hit a home run. And I tell him, Mama knows best. So here we are. Jenny, it's a pleasure to be with you. And I think that, there's so much about baseball dads and baseball dads and baseball sons. And I think it's also, sometimes it's overlooked that it's a real bond between Cooper and I. Me playing sports growing up, and sometimes that I can relate to what he's dealing with because I played at a competitive level. And I really feel like God really prepared me for this life. And in a way, I used to hate this sport, and it foreshadowed what I was going to need later in life. And now I love it. I mean, I was a basketball player. I coached my daughter in basketball, but baseball is where my heart is now, So anyway, I'm really, really thankful for this opportunity to be with you. And, and hopefully some moms can have a little fun with us,
I mean, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's funny because I would say probably the extent of my sports career, I always try to tell my kids, and I don't think they take me serious, was the fact that I was a professional CYC sport athlete. Awesome. I mean, I played all the way through my 8th grade year. I mean, and I don't understand why they don't take me serious. I find that to be pretty cool. My youngest is a second baseman. I played second base. I'm pretty sure that's where he gets it from. So,
yes, absolutely.
But they don't take me serious with that. But we happen to have a left-handed kiddo too.
You do?
Which is fun. Yes, our middle, Jace.
But he's like both left-handed. Like Cooper's not.
Yes, he is left-handed. Pitches left-handed.
He pitches? Oh,
and
that's awesome.
He also bats left-handed. But
that's amazing. Yes. I have to say something, Jenny, and this is me being biased, though. My dad told me this from an early age. He said there's nothing prettier in sports than a left-handed swing. Kind of agree with him now. At first, I was like, you're crazy, but I get it. I mean, there's something about a lefty swing, and then having that extra step towards first base where you can just whack it and then.
Well, and I always usually know when it's my son up pitching or batting. I'm like, oh, it's the lefty.
He is a lefty.
It's mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So it's fun, right?
That is fun. Cooper does throw right-handed, so that's a little boring. But having a natural left-hand, are either of you left-handed? You or your husband?
My husband is.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Travis was a left-handed pitcher. Great. Also played center field.
Awesome. Must be fast.
And Jace. Same. So, yeah.
That must be
I
special.
still think he gets it from me in CYC, but
I don't know.
I don't know. So
I agree. I think so, 100%.
And I love that you grew up watching, baseball. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, St. Louis Cardinals girl here.
Right, I get it.
Born and raised St. Louis.
I understand, 100%.
I just, that's where I grew up. So I always loved baseball, too. Mm-hmm. I grew up, my thing was going to Cardinals games and one of my fondest memories was the 82 World Series and remember crying, being so excited about watching my team win the World Series. And so I've always loved baseball.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that I would necessarily be a baseball mom, but always wanted to be a mom and always prayed that I would have boys. And I always said, I love sports. I thought if I had to pick between watching and no offense, dance moms, but watching someone tap their toes and plie, it just wasn't for me.
Sure.
Nothing against it, or going and watching basketball or a kiddo, on the baseball field. I was always like, that's my thing. And so I wouldn't trade the hours or anything I've done. I've loved every bit of it. I have to say that it's funny because we have 3 boys. We've been doing this a while, so probably about 14 years now, going to the ball field and doing all the things baseball. And our oldest actually played at Afton. So it was back in the day when it was simple and easy and, before it was crazy club world. And I would probably say I would not trade that either. It was fantastic. It was simple. It was easy, but we have so many memories, and that was fun going and watching that. And I have to say, one of the most fun things, I was thinking about this, like the season's coming and I'm like, you get your calendar out, right?
Yeah.
And you're writing all the weekends and here's what we have and this is our tournaments and this is travel and you have to get ready to book all the hotels and who's taking who, where and what and all those things and the craziness. And I sat down a couple nights ago and I honestly sat down and started to focus and I thought, I feel like we've come so far away from where we started for us personally, Afton Athletics, to really what was important with baseball.
Yeah.
And we've come so far away from, I think, where the focus should be.
Sure.
We've gotten into this crazy world of, you know, club and travel and this and all of those things. And I kind of thought, you know, it's not even about all that. You know?
Sure, absolutely.
I always wanted to be a mom. Being a sports mom is great. Being a baseball mom is even better. But it really isn't about all that. It's not about the sidelines and hanging out with, you know, those people. It's about the kids. And my kiddo having a great time. And what is he going to learn this season?
Absolutely.
What's he going to take away from it?
Yeah.
And in 10 years from now, what... you know, is he going to look back and remember about it? What will he take away and bring back? Does that mean he comes back and is a coach himself?
Sure.
Is it just he is that dad that is on the sideline, but maybe exactly like you learned from your dad and is, you know, you're helping your kiddo. I just want my kids to have fun, learn.
Sure.
I want them to be with coaches who actually are pouring into them to be good people.
Right. That's
not
so important.
just worried about
Results.
Yeah. There's
or
just
wins
so
and
much more
losses.
to it. And I think that we've
Absolutely.
come so far away from that as I thought about preparing for this season, I don't want it just to be about that. Like
Sure.
the wagons and the bags and all that are fun. And I know we joke about it, but I want my kid to really have a good time and grow as a person and have fun and take some things away that in 10 years from now he can use in life and not just be worried
Absolutely.
about all the other nonsense that come with the hustle and bustle of where we come now with this versus when it was so much simpler.
Absolutely. No, I get it. I think like what you're saying, it's more about not so much that like, of course, winning's fun, but it's about the journey and making sure that, you know, you're taking those steps on the journey to be successful, not baseball players, successful people. I mean, characters is what's important. And I think, I mean, I'm thinking back on our previous summer. I can't think of really one game off the top of my head where I'm like, oh, I mean, that was amazing. Maybe I could if I really thought about it. But I look back on last summer and all of our travels, and they have Cooper's team has just as much fun off the field. I was thinking of the things they did as a team outside of the game, you know, to bond and that's all life skills too. Learning to work with one another on and off the field, having coaches, and we've been blessed. I mean, my husband coached Coop I think till he was 12, but we've been blessed. Cooper's hitting coach at Howell Central, and his current premier coaches, they're all terrific. And I think once you lay that foundation as parents and then you put them in a setting that's best for them, knowing that they'll succeed under good leadership and good people, that's setting them up, you know, Jen, and you can't really ask for anything more. Personally, I know this is, people could disagree with this, but of course you want to win. But there's a lot more wins than just in the game, you know.
It's so true. There really is. And we feel like, you know, the season is just beginning. There's so many exciting things coming. We're looking forward to it. And exactly like that, you are putting your kid on someone's hands and you want them to teach them the game and to love it and all that, but you want all those other things. And we're really excited, especially for Jace. He is starting a new journey with Legacy, and everything we've seen there, they are incredible. And he is loving his team, the coaches, the organization, the club, everything about it. And it's just been really fun to see him come home and just
excited. Talk
about so many positive things. That's what you want for your kiddo.
Absolutely.
You want them to come home and the season hasn't even begun.
But they're excited.
And they're excited and loving and talking about so many positives. And that is really what it's about.
Absolutely.
It's about the fact that we haven't even begun playing yet, and he is excited.
I love that, Jenny. And don't you think performance sometimes can boost when you're with a bunch of teammates that you really respect and love? And I really believe that the closer knit your team is, and I can say this from a coach's perspective because I've coached my daughter's basketball team for 8 years. Like the closer you are, the more successful you'll be even on the court or on the field. The less, just that bonding experience. I always say to my girls when I had coached, like the more you get out of practice and you practice with each other and you get to know how, just the practice produces good game situations. And the more you know them as people, you'll get to know them as players. And that will just make the team more cohesive and more successful in that way.
I agree. And I think that having great coaches is so important. And
100%.
We have been blessed through the years. Travis also coached for a long time. And I know that for him, exactly like you said, winning is fun.
Yeah.
But the one thing that made me proud of him was that he truly actually cared about the kids. It was more about that than anything.
Yeah.
And that was important. There's a fun story I was thinking about the other day, and I actually texted that coach's wife. But our oldest son played at Afton. He loved baseball. He was not the best baseball player. He actually went on, he played from 3rd grade to 8th grade, had the same coach, Coach Bob. And Coach Bob was incredible person, incredible coach. And he treated every kid on that team like every one of them was, just as special as the next, and that every kid was just as important to the winning of that team. Now, my son was not that kid. He was not the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, or the best kid on that team. In fact, one of the kiddos that Cade played with is actually a starting pitcher this year in at D1, at Arkansas State. He's incredible.
Do you watch him on TV?
We do. We listened to him on the game the other night.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's incredible. We know his family. He's great.
Such a big deal.
Played on that team. So my son was not that kid.
Yeah.
But he would not have known that.
You wouldn't have known.
Because that coach treated him the same as everybody else.
I love that. And
after 8th grade, Cade did not play baseball ever again. He went on to high school to play golf, loved it. In high school, Cade wrote a paper. And it had to be on someone that influenced you and had an impact in your life. And Cade wrote his paper on Coach Bob.
Coach Bob.
And so when I didn't even know he was. And when that paper came home and I read it,
Did you cry, Jen?
I did cry. That's what baseball moms do.
Hey,
I cried,
absolutely.
But it made me feel good that there was a coach in my kiddo's life. He was not a stud.
Yeah, but
he was not that kid that was going to be anything in baseball. He wasn't the one winning the games for him. He wasn't the biggest, strongest, fastest. But he wrote a paper about how he changed his life. I made a copy of it. I sent that paper to Coach Bob. They are amazing. That family we still talk to. They are incredible people. He was an incredible coach. And I actually am thankful to him as the mom of the kiddo that was not the stud on that team. 10 years later, I am thankful, and I really wish the world had more Coach Bobs.
We should get Coach Bob on here.
We should get Coach Bob on here.
Coach Bob, we're coming for you.
Coach Bob, please come and please come talk about the nights and Afton athletic days, please.
I love that.
So that to me means more to me than 100 trophies and being 100%. The coolest and the best and the biggest and the strongest and the fastest. He changed lives. One of those lives was my kid. And that kiddo still talks about Coach Bob.
I love that.
So that I feel like to me this season is what my motto is going to be, is be a Coach Bob and change kids' lives and think about the kids that are not going to go on and play in high school, or the kids that are not going to play in college, and remember that the percentage of kids that are going to play in the MLB, your kid is probably not going to. It's going to be
What is
this
it in
many.
college? Only 7%?
I think
high school.
Yes, I think less than 7 or something like that in college, and then is it 0.5% or something
That
in
even-
MLB or something?
Yeah, I mean,
So-
or if you even commit to playing in college, that doesn't mean you're going to play 4 years. I mean, it's hard. It's
A lot of
grueling.
parents talk about their kids
Yeah.
committed somewhere, and I feel like they need to be honest that means they're committed to writing a check for their kid to go there. That does not
I
mean
love
their
your
kid-
honesty, Jen.
That does not mean
I don't
your
know
kid
anything
is
about
playing.
that.
That means you have committed to write a check there just because they're
Right.
going there.
Right.
Or they've committed to warm the bench. And
Yeah.
I think it drives me crazy because you see that everywhere and you're like, oh, that's really sweet. That's really nice. So
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, it's funny because I just remember in 8th grade, Cooper telling me all these people that are committing in 8th grade. And hey, to each their own. Good for them if they have those dreams and they want to do that. I get that 100%. But as a coach and as a I was also, as an educator, I taught and I coached high school basketball, and I don't. Maybe I'm just questioning the whole process, like how you're committing, right? But you haven't even stepped on a high school baseball field. And I mean, there's so many kids that can peak early, and then, once you get to the high school level, if you haven't proved yourself at that, but I mean, maybe that's just the part I need to educate myself on, or maybe learn more about, because I just didn't quite get it. I know if I were a college coach, I don't know. In my mind, I'd be like, I'm watching you play a couple years in high school before I take you out as a middle schooler and make you sign a paper,
We talk about the Michael Jordan story all the time. We
love
just
it.
brought that up the other night that he was passed up.
Yeah,
as a
freshman year.
sophomore.
Yeah.
In high school because he was 5'10" and skinny. He was passed up for one of his best friends that was 6'7". I bet the coach feels pretty silly now, considering the fact that he went on to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time, and I think he ended up growing to be 6'6". So what you are at 14 and 15 does not mean what you will be at 16, 17, or 18.
And to that point, Jenny, because I've read a lot of Michael Jordan stuff. I mean, I think he was a great player, and to that point, when he didn't make it, his mom didn't go up and complain to the coaches or
they didn't switch high schools. He stayed there and he worked hard.
He worked hard, and he even said his mom told him, "Well, work harder. Work harder, so that's your goal next year is to make it."
Yeah.
I can go off on a tangent about that, but I won't do that because I don't want to. But a lot of times, and we're baseball moms. I'm not saying I've never made a mistake being a baseball mom, but parents today can be an issue too, who just having and this is just in life and not just in baseball, but having unrealistic expectations of what you think your kid is and compared to what it actually, what they actually are too. And I just think if we could all be like Michael Jordan's mom, just hold them accountable, make them work, make them don't think, that's one thing Drew, my husband, and I have always thought, since being athletes ourselves, we never want to be have these goggles on where we're unrealistic about our kids' potential. And we're very big on giving credit to others, and it's not about you, especially baseball. You can, it's a team game, but there's a certain responsibility on when you're up at bat, you know what I mean? And we've had many talks with Cooper, and Cooper's a very unselfish, humble kid, but luckily he kind of just ended up that way. But we've had many talks with him. Don't get focused on if you're going 0 for 3, you make sure, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but you make sure that you still put that team first. It's not about your at-bats. It's, if you're having a bad game, there's something good in every game. You make sure that you're still being a good teammate. There's 1,000 ways to be a good teammate. And even if you're not producing at the plate, there's a lot more things you could do that could still contribute to a win or the team's success, even if you're not, doing anything that you're used to at the plate, So, I think parenting and putting your kid on the best situation possible for them and having a Coach Bob. I've also been told, since your husband coached and mine did, and I was a coach, and I was terrible at this as a coach, but it's the best coaches are the ones that you can't even tell which one their kid is. I was really hard on my daughter when I had coached her. In fact, we just finished our games Sunday for the last time, and she's going off to high school stuff. But I couldn't really separate the mom-daughter. I was very tough on her, and But there are some people that can really coach their kids and you wouldn't even know it's theirs, and I failed at that miserably. I wasn't terrible too. I didn't favor her in any way either, though. I was very tough, but you hear about the daddy ball. We've never really experienced that in our baseball lifetime so far. I'm sure maybe you have a different.
No, I think it was the same. I think trying to always be fair along the way, and I think with Travis, it was always. Like I said, I think he loved all those kids evenly.
Even the same,
and he tried to, think about them. For the longest time, it was nice to always see. He used to say, my best friends are 8 and 9 years old, or 9 and 10, whatever age they were at the time. And it was,
that's really sweet.
It was special. And that's, I think that's the way it's supposed to be.
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of things. I have made a ton of mistakes as that, sports mom, baseball mom, but you learn, you grow from it.
Absolutely.
And that's why I reflected the other day and just kind of sat back and thought, I just want to take a step back and make it a little more simple. I want it to be about my kiddos' experience. I want them to have fun. I want it to be focused on them. So I think that it's going to be fun. I feel like this whole meeting up and all of us having these conversations like you and I, we're going to have so much fun stuff to talk about. And I think that a lot of conversations will be had that'll be beneficial, and I look forward to opening up so much more stuff. So
I do too. Jen, I'm sure you've been a teen mom before, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have too. But those days are done with me. I think I messed up so many rosters one tournament, and I got yelled at. Let's see what else I did wrong. I was really good at maybe communicating and organizing fun stuff like paintball in the off season, or having the boys over at my house for pizza and a sleepover. Wait, I'm sure you have 3 boys. There's a big difference, let me tell you, in having 12 boys stay over and 12 girls. I've had both. Girls are way easier and way more quiet, and way less things get broken. But I've had those type of things. But as a teen mom, I forgot people in the batting order when they had me write it out one time. I was not as organized as I thought. I was not that good at it. So
I was always doing Game Changer. I'm like,
oh wait, you do Game Changer?
Yes,
that's a whole new
when
world.
Your kid goes in the pitch.
No.
That is unacceptable because you can't hide in the bathroom.
No,
you have to actually sit and watch, and it's painful. So,
Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what, Jen, Cooper does not pitch, it was never something he wanted to pursue. He's more of he'll grind every day and hit. And I think 2A players are terrific, though. The amount of effort and practice you have to put into pitching and hitting. But I'll tell you what, my heart, Cooper only pitched maybe 2 innings last summer, and watching him as a pitcher mom, I'm sure pitcher moms know this, so I hope I'm not saying anything that people don't know, but I'm always afraid of the ball just hitting them back in the face. And I'm sure I have so much respect for pitcher moms, though, because they're pacing. That's a whole other level of we're all drinking our water and soaking up the sun. I get nervous enough when Cooper's up at that.
It's a pacing, it's a walking, it's a this, it's, going upside down and be like, where was that pitch? What are they looking for, right? Is it this bit? What is happening?
Right.
It gets, when they, when it's not, it's like, it's not it's your kid today. Right? Just sit back. It's like, woo! So,
oh my gosh,
yes.
That's a
whole nother show. We're going to have, that's a whole nother show. We have so much good stuff. I'm excited about this season.
Yeah.
We are going to have to come back, and we cannot give them all of our material today.
No.
We are going to have to wait and give them a little bit more later.
Yes.
Because we have too much good stuff, and
yes,
I'm excited to just
dive into it.
So
that'll be really
fun. We'll have to
or slide into it. Let's do some baseball terminology.
Slide in later.
We're gonna have to get on that, Jen. We're gonna have to use some of our baseball terms.
Yes, we will do that.
Spirit.
I think we did.
Yeah, girlfriend. Way to go, fellow baseball mom. See you next time. Is that good, Drew? Wait.